Welcome back to another video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Morgan and I am a physical therapist, and I have worked for myself since 2019, working with clients online as a mobile-based therapist, a gym-based therapist, and currently right now I operate my solo physical therapy practice by working with clients both in my garage gym and out of my CrossFit gym. I also help other physical therapists and healthcare providers just like you who want to learn how to become self-employed and work for themselves full-time, do that so that they can leave their regular 9-to-5 job and create more of a career and a lifestyle that is aligned with them and how they want to be living their life. I've helped dozens and dozens, I think the number is like close to over 100 now, therapists through the DPT to CEO program that I created several years ago. That is the exact process on how I myself started and grew my practice and then started working for myself as a business coach and a digital marketer. So if any of that interests you, if you are somebody who wants to work for yourself or you just kind of want to see what it's all about and what's involved, I definitely encourage you to check out the other videos here on the channel. Click subscribe because we do post new videos typically every week, every other week, to continue to share more information with you on how to do this. And I have a blog at my website at morganmeese.com as well. And if you're looking for any guidance, check out the DPT to CEO coaching program or feel free to schedule a consult. So without further ado, let's get into this video. I forgot to even introduce it at the beginning, but that's okay. So in this video, we are going to be talking about 4 simple ways that you can start to build an audience as a cash-based therapy clinic specifically. But I think a lot of these things really apply if you are just new to trying to grow an audience as a new business owner. So we might talk through some specific examples that are potentially more like physical therapy related. But if you are new to this whole thing, I think this video will really help kind of give you some perspective on what's involved in quote unquote growing or building an audience. So one of the big myths I think that is out there, which, no thanks to a lot of the advertising and just stuff that we see on social media, it can look like that there is some kind of secret success, like to overnight growth for your business, for your audience, for your following, for your email list. It can look like people are just sprinkling like magic dust and then all of a sudden they have a gigantic following. And it is something that is it's simply not true. I mean, maybe somebody out there that has happened for them, but typically everybody who has a large audience has been working on it and putting in consistent effort for years. And they've probably tried and failed at like dozens of different ways to try to build that audience. And they just kept chipping away at it until they figured out and found something that would work for them. So even if it might look like somebody is an overnight success, they've been working on it for years. So many of us out there have been like working on things for a really long time. And it isn't until just something finally clicks when all of a sudden you have the momentum and the business just continues to grow. So, I just want you to know as we're going over these different tactics and strategies, you're not behind. You're not falling behind on anything. You are going to have to go through a lot of different trial and error to figure out what's going to work best for you, but don't expect any like overnight success situation. It is going to take a lot of effort and a lot of consistent effort over a long period of time. We're continuing to go back and reevaluate things as you move forward and you're trying to build your following and build your audience. So if we go into it with that expectation, that we're in it for the long haul, we're going to be here for a while, you will have the right kind of mindset that you need in order to succeed in figuring out a way to build an audience to create engagement with. And just as an example, like I started this YouTube channel and the podcast years ago. And the way that I started it was like literally like that was it. Like I just started it. You can even go back to videos from probably like 2021 maybe is when I first started posting these videos and the podcast. And not that this is high quality by any means now, but I just got started with the webcam that was on my laptop. I think at the time, the videos I think are maybe like 480p or something like that. And I just started creating content and putting things out there that I thought would be helpful to new practice owners. Things that I wish I had known at the beginning, and like specific like how-to videos on how to do things that I feel like are simple, but finding the information and directions on is not as easy as we might hope. And since then, since I first started posting, I've experimented with tons of stuff. I've gone through different phases where I've been more consistent, less consistent with things. And it wasn't really until probably halfway through last year in 2023 that I really started trying to be more consistent with both YouTube and the podcast. And I've gotten really good feedback so far, I think. And it's been great to be able to put information out there to help people, but it's also been one of the like major pillars of my marketing strategy because it allows me to kind of put myself in a place where you can get to know me and see what it is that I have to offer. And so for your business, it can be a very similar thing when it comes to like growing your audience. Go into it with the mindset of, I want to offer, I feel like we hear this all the time, but I want to offer value and I want to show what I know, what I can help with, what I can't help with, so that, like your potential patients, potential clients, as they are getting to know you through your content and as you are working on developing your relationship with your audience, it'll help them kind of figure out whether you guys would be a good fit to work together. So I know that kind of got off on a side note there, but I think it's really important when you start a project of building an audience to have this mindset and this perspective going into it. Another myth that I think a lot of beginners have when they're first getting started with building an audience is that you're not going to have any success until you have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers or people on your email list. And that's not true at all. At least at the time of this recording, I think yesterday when I checked, I had 570 subscribers. My goal is 1,000. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. But the Instagram that I started growing last year to help promote the DPT to CEO program and continue to share like more information about how to start your own practice as a solo healthcare provider, I think we just crossed the 600 follower mark. So, both the YouTube channel, the Instagram, they're still like quote unquote small, but sometimes I think that's even kind of nice because it's a little bit more intimate and allows us to get to know each other a little bit better. And plus, like along with that, like I still have people writing into me and applying for the coaching program, saying that they found me from YouTube, from the podcast, from Instagram. So, like the efforts that we're putting in, even though it has been a very long time that we've put the efforts in, it is paying off in the end, even though we don't have tens of thousands of followers, at least at the time of this recording. You can absolutely have a thriving practice with maybe by like industry standards, a small audience, but that's okay. And I also want to put it out there that, as like single practice owners, both being the business owner and the clinician, sometimes it's okay to have a smaller audience because you only have so much time to treat patients. So if you had like thousands of leads coming in every single week, you would have to grow your business a lot faster than maybe you wanted to, or than maybe you wanted to like at all. Because I do talk to a lot of practice owners who are just like me, where we want to grow a business, grow a profitable, successful business, be, happy, healthy, wealthy, all those things, but we don't really want to grow it past maybe like us and one or two team members. We don't want it to turn into like a multi-location, multi-million-dollar a year business. So that's something to keep in mind as far as like your goals go as well. So anyway, just because you don't have a bajillion followers doesn't mean that you are not going to be successful. It's just, you just have to start somewhere and it'll grow over time. And it's okay when it comes to growing a business to not see like insanely fast growth, thousands of leads every single week when you're first getting started. Because when it comes to growing a business, you're never going to be done. There's always going to be more things to do. And so there's also no rush. I like to put that out there because I think a lot of us can get really like amped up and like stressed out. I know I have anyway. And, comment below if any of this resonates with you. but we get all in our head and like create stress and overwhelm that doesn't need to be there. So if that's you, we'll just take a step back, take a breather, and then dive back in. So just a couple of myths there I want to put out there before we get into like these four or five, like 4.5 tips on how to build an audience. Again, just there's not going to be any overnight results. Don't expect overnight results. And you also don't need to have thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers in order to see success in your business and grow an audience who knows, likes, and trusts you. Okay, let's talk tactics. So I put it as tip 0 in my notes. So this is like the half thing. But one thing I highly, highly, highly recommend, and I think this pairs well because it is a characteristic, I think, of a successful business owner is to be resourceful and to take initiative. At the time of this recording, there are certain strategies and tactics that work well on different social media and online platforms. Those things change every single day, and so I recommend for you, like if you're watching this video now, a year from now, 2 years from now, honestly, it doesn't even matter. Do your own research on the platform that you are trying to grow on and build an audience. Research being other videos on YouTube, researching on Google, and look for the most up-to-date information, just like clinical research. We want to treat our patients off of what the most up-to-date clinical research and guidelines are saying. So we also want to do the same thing when it comes to marketing and building on platforms that are known to have algorithms that change all the time. Just make sure that you're looking into it, maybe even like once a quarter or twice a year would be plenty, and just kind of see what other experts in the field of marketing are saying about that platform and what is working well right now. And then you can continue to adjust your marketing strategy and building an audience and creating content according to what best practices are right now. So just putting that out there to make sure to look into that as you move forward in your business. So the rest of the 4 tips. So how do we build an audience as a cash-based therapy clinic or as a new business? How do we start to build an audience? First thing that you can do is like manually ask people to follow you. Ask people to follow, to subscribe, to comment, to like, to share, all things that you can do on this video, by the way. Send it to your friends, send it to your patients or people that you might want to have become patients in the future. Share it with people that and by it I mean, for example, like an Instagram profile, your YouTube channel, your blog or your email list, your TikTok, like whatever you are trying to grow on, share it with people. Because when you have an account that starts at 0, unless you start getting really good at making content instantly right away, we're probably not going to accumulate many followers. But if at least you start with the people that you can start to create a little bit of an audience manually yourself. And I personally like that idea because it's something that you have a lot of control over. You're not going to just make like one post on Instagram and hope and pray for weeks and months that somebody finds it, but you can share the account with people that and start to build the following. And then you can start posting and people are going to see what you're posting about and hopefully comment, share it, encourage other people to follow you, things like that. Highly recommend getting started there. Super simple, and something that you can do today. And then number 2, or I guess this is the 3rd one, a way that you can start to build an audience, of course, is by creating content. But the thing to remember with content, and I like to think about it as kind of like a step-by-step visual. Your content at first is not going to be very good. Probably not going to be very good for a while. Sometimes I think my content is kind of mid, and that's okay. But we have to start somewhere and you have to put something up. That's what I always tell all of my clients. Level 1 content creation is something is better than nothing. Because if you put nothing out there, nobody is going to know that you are a business wanting clients unless you put it out there. So that's like level 1 content creation is literally just put up anything. Just put something. Show that you have a presence, and then you can move on to level 2, which is starting to create consistency with your content. I like to tell people when it comes to content creation, you have to pick a posting and publishing schedule that you're going to be able to stick to. It needs to be easy enough where you can almost like guarantee that you are going to stick to that content schedule. If it is too overwhelming, if it is too difficult, you're going to make it a weekend maybe and quit, and then you're never going to make content again. And then the tiny little marketing strategy that we started, it's going to go straight down the drain and be for nothing. So we have to pick something that is going to be easy enough that we can definitely commit to it. There are industry standards across the different platforms. And again, these are things that are going to change. For example, like with Instagram, I'm seeing right now that posting reels 5 days a week is the way to go and the way to grow. I've seen varying information about incorporating hashtags, how many hashtags, whether hashtags are necessary or whether Instagram is more so looking for keywords in your copy and it doesn't matter if they're hashtags. So definitely, if you're at that level, content creation, something to look into. But say like 5 reels a week sounds like way too much, which kind of sounds like too much to me to commit to immediately today. Commit to doing 1 a week, just 1 a week. That's it, and reels ideally are less than a minute long, even shorter. It's the most recent thing I saw said that Instagram's looking for videos that are 10 seconds even. But again, please continue to do your own research on that stuff. But, if industry standard is 5 times a week, sounds like way too much, start with once a week. Commit to once a week. Commit to once a week for 2 months. That's 8 posts. That's it. And then if you're able to do that, then like the following 2 months, add a second weekly post and just continue to grow and build like that with small steps over time that you can continue to commit to. And just like we train the body, like with fitness, and we continue to progressively overload with strength training, you can continuously add a little bit more onto your plate as far as content creation goes and train yourself to have the endurance to maintain that capacity. So level 1 content creation, we need something to help us build an audience. So like post anything. Once we do that, level 2 is creating some kind of consistency that's so easy. It would be, stupid not to do it and keep up with it because it's so easy. Then level 3 or level 2.5 or level 2B, add a little bit more volume to your content. Level 2C, add a little bit more volume to your content. Keep it within the range of something that you know that you can handle and continue to keep up with. If it ever gets to be too much, just pull back on the volume a little bit, but keep up with the consistency and the frequency. And then that'll be good. Level 3, creating content. Now we start to get into making content with a purpose. So this is where we can look into different types of content to be posting, whether it is content that is more educational, whether it is more relational and trying to create engagement with the audience, or letting them get to know you, whether it is more subscription based, so trying to get people to subscribe to your email list, telling them to follow you, telling them to check out your other content, telling them to download your freebie lead magnet PDF, telling them to sign up for a tiny mini course that you have, or if the content is more promotional and sales based, so advertising your services or the paid products that you have to sell, or of course there is the opportunity to create content that is storytelling, telling stories of previous clients you've worked with, results that you've helped people get, reviews and testimonials that you've gotten from other people. So there's all kinds of different types of content that you can create. And at the same time, there's all kinds of different topics you can make that content on. And so what I always suggest to people to do to help you make this content is create a content matrix. And I can always make a video on that if that's something that you are interested in. So please comment below if you'd be interested in learning more about a content matrix. But that'll help you start to be a little bit more strategic in what you are posting, and specifically posting content to create traffic awareness, engagement, that's going to help you continue to build an audience. And then, once they're following you, you can create opportunities to build know, like, and trust. And that's going to keep them coming back to future content. And then I think last thing with creating content that I always like to mention, because this is something that I would always forget for the longest time and still do sometimes, is when you're creating content, have some kind of call to action with a purpose. So for example, if you are a physical therapy practice owner and you're creating content and, maybe you're posting stuff, but you're not really getting any inquiries, like any leads into the business, do a quick content audit and see if you are creating opportunities with your content or in your bio that tell people what to do in order to get help with you, or like what kind of help you have to offer, what kind of services for a really long time. And if you go back into the archives of previous content that I did, I would create content purely like for the sake of education and offering help, but wouldn't really create opportunities for calls to action or to tell people about my services. So like at the beginning of this video, I did like a couple minutes talking about like ways that you can work with me, ways I help people, what I do. And then we get into the content. When you are creating content, you need to make sure that you're including that information, and like say on an Instagram post, putting in the copy, check out the link in bio for more information on our services, or for our phone number to call us, or to schedule an appointment today, so that people have directions in order to start to work with you. Because sometimes they just don't know. And if they don't have the directions, it's going to be really hard for them to try to figure out like how to get to you. And then on top of this, like a way to take the call to action to an even higher level is to say, do this in order to get this result. So call us today to book an appointment so that you can start lifting weights again without pain. Schedule a free consultation today to talk with one of our doctors of physical therapy so that you can, start getting the care that you need so you can stop peeing your pants at the gym. So incorporating the results that they are wanting or potentially like on your page looking for into the call to action is also going to be very helpful and powerful. Specifically when it comes to building an audience, you could say something along the lines of, make sure you click follow above on the post because we share like top tips for athletes 3 times a week here on the Instagram page, something like that. So that it shows that they're going to get something out of it as like in exchange for becoming part of your audience. And then last thing, to help you build an audience online, keep an email list. For the love of God, keep an email list. This is something that is not super interesting to talk about, except for maybe people who are involved in the digital marketing space. Email lists are not super sexy, but they are incredibly helpful and one of the cornerstones of every single marketing plan that I help to develop, because your email list is the only audience that you truly own. A lot of people get really wrapped up in and worried about creating an audience on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, whatever it is. But particularly with social media platforms, that platform could go down at any time. Like, I can't remember what it was, but within the past couple of years, Facebook and Instagram were down for like 4 hours, which might not sound like a huge chunk of time, but when your business depends on the audience that you have on social media, because it's the only place that you're able to talk to people, that could go south at any time. If the platform decides that it no longer wants to exist, that's the only place you have an audience, your business is sunk, or you're going to have to work really hard to try to rebuild on a different platform. So if you have an email list, you will always own that audience and you will always be able to use that information to speak directly to people. It's another way that you can continue to grow your following and build credibility and build trust with the people in your audience so that they stick around. And that's maybe another topic, is audience retention. So not just building an audience, but keeping them there. It's going to help you over time continue to build the know, like, and trust with that audience that you worked so hard to build on other platforms. So highly encourage you to keep that email list. And it's also helpful if you start building on a different platform you can send an email out to your email audience and say, hey, I just made this new profile on this different platform. Go check us out there. And that makes it pretty simple to start to build an audience there. So I know that this was a lot, and we also started getting into a little bit more like content creation kind of tactics as well. But I definitely think that creating high quality content is a big part of audience retention. And if you're going to work really hard to build an audience, you also want to make sure that they stick around and engage with what you're doing. So if you're starting from zero followers and 0 people on your list, 0 subscribers, there are a lot of things that you can do, both manually and with, the digital realm at large, to help increase people getting to your profile and help to build the following. Oh, and bonus tip / one of the other numbered ones that I forgot to go over. We didn't even get into paid advertising. This is one of my favorite ways to build an audience because it's something that you can set up and forget about. It's not something that you have to keep putting like effort into over the long term once you have a paid ads campaign that works really well. So of course, there's going to be quite a bit of setup and effort that goes into it on the front end. But once it's good to go and you can just turn the ad campaign on and all of a sudden see new followers coming to your profile, it's amazing. Because as a solo practice owner, if you are able to develop an ad strategy like that, that gets you followers, that gets you leads, that gets you new clients kind of on autopilot, it's the most efficient way to find new business for your practice, because you're only one person and you can't be doing all the content all the time and treating patients all the time. You eventually reach a ceiling on one or the other, and then it impacts your ability to do the other thing. So paid advertising can be great. You can boost posts on Instagram is working really well, at least at the time of this recording on the video. And one of my favorite things to do to help build my email list is running advertising to a free lead magnet, a free PDF download that I created in 2020. And it still to this day is working super well. And it brings in leads every single day to my email list. And then through my email list, I'm able to share with people that I have a YouTube channel, that I have an Instagram, that I have a blog, that I have a podcast, and let people know that there are other places that they can follow me online as well. So huge fan. Paid ads, it's not for beginners. Please don't try to do paid ads before you even understand what you're doing with your business. As far as like the services that you're selling, who you're targeting, things like that, those pieces need to be figured out well in advance before you really jump into paid advertising. So anyway, hope that was helpful. A little bit rambly, but I want you to know that there are so many different things that you can do to build an audience, and you don't need to have thousands of people in your audience for the platform that you're on to be a successful tool in your marketing strategy. If you have questions on this, please let me know down in the comments below. We're going to be putting out a bunch more videos on marketing, so make sure you hit subscribe. And of course, if you want any help with anything startup business related and growing your solo practice, please feel free to reach out to me either at morganmeese.com or at dpt2ceo on Instagram. We'll see you on the next video.